They had several, the Scoglins had several.
All right, we're live, ladies and gentlemen.
You're live.
Okay,
Thank you, Nathan. It needed your touch.
we are live. Meeting to order. So there is no quorum.
There is no. Vinny Patel, Marla Mitchell, Alex Williams, and Cindy Mary are present.
And how many do we need?
6.
Okay, so with that being said, Alex, would you give us invocation, please?
Sure. You hear me? Father God, thank you for the folks in this room for giving their time to take care of this good responsibility over have for this community and what you value, that we seek that best of our abilities to accomplish that. And above all, resurrection and Easter, thank you for your son's atoning sacrifice. In your son's holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Okay, under chairman's comments, the first thing I'd like to do is welcome our new member. Ben has Branson's Best Ends.
Yeah,
Over-
yeah.
Green Mountain Drive, and he's our new member. Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want to share anything else with us?
I've been in the hotel industry for about 20 years. Moved to Branson when I was back in 17.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
And then in market tomorrow, the our new cultivator creative agency will CVB, if anybody wants to join that meeting. And then on Monday, the May 12th, either at 12, the research company Datafy will be here teaching us how to utilize and understand what exactly they're doing. And again, it'll be at the CVB to attend. And then that moves us on to business. And since we don't have a quorum, I don't think we can approve the agenda or the minutes, but we can agree to go for the other items. Is that?
I think we should.
That's the way we could. If you do have any corrections to the minutes, would you please share them with Angela for next meeting? I didn't see anything. And as far as the update to the board of directors actions, we didn't really have any, although we did send out the updated budget that shows different changes, not in the overall amount, but in the where the line items are at. And that'll be shared with both the board of directors and the MOC. And if anybody has comments about that, it's really just housekeeping, not anything pertinent. And then financial statement review.
All right. In your packet, you've got a balance sheet showing your ending month cash balance. We're a little ahead of last year as far as cash on hand goes for March 31st, but we're also a little lagging on our reimbursement requests, so that should even itself out and be equivalent pretty much to last year's cash. On your income statement, we have collected our sales tax, and we are expecting our EBT marketing revenue to be delivered this week. It will be for January, February, and March publications, website. Anything else in it?
I think that was the main, there's a couple events.
Maybe a couple of cooperative events in it. So that will be reflected on the April statement when it comes in. As I said, we're a little behind on the marketing section of our budget as far as what we've paid out. On the operating, we are right on target for budget. It's kind of early in the year, so looks like small numbers, but the sales tax receipts for the year were up 3.8%. For the month, they were down 13.4. Not sure if it's timing or it was just February, but that's where the district's sales tax landed for the month.
And we want to take a look, you can take a look at the city's taxes. Their 1% is up through February, down through February, or up 0.7% through February. And their transportation, 0.5%, down 0.3%. The 0.5% public safety down 0.6%, which would stand kind of odd. On the tourism tax through February, it indicates March, but that's what was actually collected in March through for the month of February. It's showing up 7.1%. And if you look at the breakdown on the different buckets, it's good that we're on the for the year. Chris, did you have your?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, this is just kind of a little different report for, that doesn't coincide specifically with how the city does it. And so I look at calendar year. And so this will show you January and February, and I look at 5 categories. And this is really the total revenue. So I take the tax receipts and then I extrapolate what is that total revenue wise. And so you'll see in January and February, we're at about a little over 43.4 million. That's an increase of about almost 2.4 million, so up almost 6%. And so what's really kind of weird in the whole thing, and we saw this in January under attractions, they were like up 300 and some percent. Last year they were way down, and so there could be some timing issues there. You'll see shows are down 21%. Nightly rentals are up 14%. Here's where the attractions are up 104%. Hotels are up 3.4%, and restaurants are down a little over 1% for the year. And then when you look at on the right-hand column there, you look at February, shows were down again. Nightly rentals were up pretty good. Attractions, once again, were way up. Hotels were up, but then restaurants were way down, honestly. And you know, so much, that's because it's really our, then it made that February total revenue down about $500,000. And so restaurants were up almost $1 million in January, but then we're down 1.2 in February. So it's just, you know, and I look at this long term, but it's just, sometimes things are just like, I don't understand. So, because everybody's got to eat. Of course, sometimes locals don't have to eat. They could eat at home, right? I mean, we do have a local component that does eat in restaurants. So anyway, but for the year, up 6%, that's good. So.
Okay. All right, thank you, Chris. And then I believe Aaron has the monthly financial report.
Yes.
And I think he handed it out,
So
so
we
you
should
can.
celebrate him that he's caught up to the point where he can have it.
Yay, Aaron, celebration.
Thank you. So I did hand out the EBT statement of activities. Couple things that I wanted to point out on this document. If you look at the last 2 columns, the annual budget for 2025, that is accurate, reflecting the most recent change that we shared with the district last week. Because of that, we have not fully completed all of the spreads. So if you look at the budget for month and for year to date, there's still some zeros in there. That will be updated as we get those monthly spreads in. But if you look at the month actual and the year to date actual, that does reflect our current activity of expenses coming in. As Angela mentioned, there is a lag on our billings, but we are working to get that lag caught up. At this point, check billings, I think, are caught up to the most recent check. We did a check run last week. That has not been billed, but all other checks have been billed for reimbursement. And credit cards, we are working on reimbursement for March. So working through that backlog and getting those things caught up. As we did not have a statement of activity last month, we did want to share this as a work in progress so that you could see where we are currently, and we will continue to update this as we have information. Do you have any questions on the statement of activity?
I
Thank
think
you
it's
very
very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, and then that leads us to the request for an exception to allowable cost policies, and I believe that's Reed. And he's so specifically, we're addressing the exception on first on the credit cards that were just recently presented, correct?
The credit card fee?
I think it's Reed, but
Is it Reed or
I
is it Aaron?
have that
Okay, so it's Aaron doing the
and
request.
read, but yes. I
Yeah,
have the request.
I'm just on here. It's EBT request for exception to allowable cost policy. So if it's Aaron, go
Yes.
for it.
So as I was going through the, it was very kind to give me feedback as that was my. As we went through that process, there were a couple of processing fees. Angela sent that back to us. We removed that from the billing. But as we went through that process and as we talked internally, the question came up, is there any other way to pay for those expenses? So we're specifically referring to staff people who are traveling. They are engaged in official business. They're staying at dealing with vendors on site to charge a processing fee. And at the point that we are at the point of transaction or the point of sale, we do not have petty cash. We do not have an alternative means to pay that at bill other than to put it on credit card. Our understanding in looking at the current allowable cost policy is that the intention was to prevent the district and tax funds from paying for credit card fees that could have been paid by check, could have been avoided. And our feeling with these particular credit card fees is that at the point of sale, when the salesperson or the marketing person is on the road, there really is not an alternative. So we're bringing that to this body and to the board to ask if that language could be amended or reinterpreted so that we would not ask you to pay for optional credit card fees, but we would ask for reimbursement on non-optional credit card fees. Part of that logic is if the hotel or the restaurant simply increased their rates and didn't bill it as a fee, it would be reimbursed. But because they're specifically line iteming it as a fee, then it becomes non-reimbursable. But ultimately, it's the cost of doing business with that vendor in that location. So that is the request. We do have additional detail to that. Reed and I can answer any questions that you may have, but that's the request.
Well, unfortunately, today we can only pass on the thoughts as a committee
Absolutely.
to the board. So is there any thoughts on this from those that are here?
Just for context, so has there been declines? Like, have they been declined, these processing fees? Because it sounds like these charges would have been ongoing, so there had to have been a rejection potentially, I would think, to
When-
call
when-
to question.
when I find them, I do send it back to them, whether it was Aaron or Micah or Grace. And then they have to absorb that cost, basically. These amounted to more than just a $2 fee this time. Usually it's just a piddly amount, but in Philadelphia, they are a union town, so there were fees for union workers and this convenience fee that was unavoidable.
So it does vary because it's a percentage. In Philadelphia, it was about $600 over the course of 4 days for booth setup fees. So it isn't always a small amount, but it is a small percentage on, is it a $20,000 bill?
Mhm.
Yeah, so what comes to my mind is cost of doing business, like whenever you're providing a good or service, we agree that the service is important, and so there's costs that come with that. And so one, I would think that we would want to not uh punish them for that because it's something that's unavoidable. If they can negotiate something out, I feel like that's a due diligence thing, and it sounds like you'd already shared that that's what's going on. And then behind that, the last thing I would want to do is send somebody up with me personally, I wouldn't send my staff into a larger city with petty cash on them and increase the likelihood of their safety or anything like that being infringed upon. So I would think that I would, as an individual, I don't know what everyone else's thoughts are, but it would make sense that that would be revisited so that they're not being hemmed up by things that they're not asking to have put on their bill.
I agree, and I think, whether it's parking or, sometimes, I mean, we all travel, sometimes it could be a tip to a concierge or, so it's just a cost of travel. We approve these trips for, you guys to go and represent Branson, so I think it's just a cost, it's a cost we need to absorb.
What is the specific language in the allowable?
I have it here for you. So it says
Can you tell me where it's at?
it's number 12.
3A12.
So it just says a cost that's not allowable, vendor credit card or service fees. Vendor credit card or service fees. And so I think the intent of that was when we get a $50,000 invoice from one of our big vendors, we don't pay that with a credit card that has a 3% fee on it when we have the option to send them a check. Because that would be wasteful. But as merchants become more sophisticated, they're passing on their credit card processing fees onto the consumer. And so a $3 or $10 credit card processing fee often lands on a hotel folio bill, which is holding up the billing. And so I just think the intent of this is to avoid waste. And I think our interpretation of it should be as such. So we should interpret it not as merchant fees, vendor, when you're on the road, but for large bills.
Vinny, do you have any thoughts? Okay. Chris, would you have any thoughts to share with us?
I guess I would just, on the Philly Convention Center, when it says 593, was that credit card or convenience, or is it just part of their service? Because I do know you have a lot of what I'd call service fees when you're doing events where they're charging, 20%, but it's like a tip sometimes. Is that kind of what this was, or? No, that was just a convenience fee for using a credit card, although they provided us no other way to pay that. So we couldn't pay by check.
So on the bill is for 4 days, it's 4 daily bills. They lined it out as credit card processing.
Pay by card and put it.
That's how I feel about it.
Because it makes
So
me
this
mad to pay.
was-
Me too.
That's 127.
So there were 4 days, and over
Okay,
the course of
okay.
4 days, it added up to
Gotcha.
590, just under 600.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was just a
Yeah.
credit card fee there. Okay. And it was a type of situation where they were gonna pull their staff if we didn't pay. So.
Yeah. Is it and also, if I remember when we were talking about these allowable costs, the reference wasn't just, it really was more aimed at, in the past, there was a lag on paying the credit card bills themselves. And that was what we were really trying to not be responsible for, was any fees that might be incurred for something that we couldn't control.
Late charges.
Yeah, thank you. So
Well,
it makes
that's in
sense.
there too. I think that's another,
Is it
that
another
might be
line?
another item. but-
So really, it seems to me that, number one, this charge from Philly or whatever ought to be paid by us. I mean, I think that should be definitely a recommendation to the board, because they had no other choice. And then as far as, it seems like at least of the members that are here, census is a recommendation to the board to change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just that, section 3 and 12, just vendor credit card or service fees. I think we just need to target that a little bit more. And
Yeah,
make
that's
sure
what
that
I
we're
meant.
not getting hung up, yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying is that we can't make a decision, but we can say, here's a Thursday.
Yep.
And I'm recapitalizing what I think I'm hearing from those of us that are here. So thank you guys for your presentation and all the information, and it seems well thought out. So, okay, the Marketing Opportunity Fund report is up next. And is there a handout on that? Yeah. Okay.
Hello, I want to apologize first for last month's meeting. No, or at least I know now that first time putting this together that we're going to have it to you at least a week in advance, so you can review it before the meeting. So here you'll see just a quick summary of Q1. We had two connects for Q1. One of them was the 4 States Couple Retreat, and we ended up paying out $1,935. So they came in just a little under. And estimated room nights was 558. They only actualized 387. But I've listed out some of the pros here. They have a strong return on investment. It's a faith market group, which we like. And it comes from 4 different states. So it's not just the state of Missouri or locals. Obviously, the event was in February, so that helped out Chateau on that shoulder season. And the group did leave Branson in 2024 due to costs. So Yvonne Long, one of our salespeople, leveraged them to come back into the market and sign a 3-year agreement. So for the next 3 Februarys, we'll have this faith group. Next, we have the Missouri Junior and Senior Beta Club convention.
Same problem.
And
Their
you know,
choice, I guess.
And it's in it. When we make these commitments, we don't, we're not rooting for someone not to get them. Although it does technically help the opportunity fund balance. So
Do they realize they're not turning this in, or
we're reminding them.
how strange?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, great, but they're still coming back, so that's good.
they are. I believe they're signed on for the next 2 years as well.
Awesome. Cool.
So, we don't want people to miss it. Smurf educational segment. So, we, students, especially in January, we love that. And yeah, so that's Q1 in a nutshell. Not much going on. We have $79,000 committed for the entire year. Less 12,000 for the one that missed already. So we have over $100,000 in opportunity funds still uncommitted. So we'll look for ways to deploy those funds to incentivize groups throughout the year. And the numbers look similar for 2026. If you flip to the next page, we have $70,000 committed. And we're at.
I like this format better. Well, you could go landscape, but
I got you.
I like that it breaks it out by year.
Blind people,
Next time I promise.
old people blind. I
And
judged, just as a comment, I judged the Future Business Leaders of America. And one of the gals' graph was showing who uses Facebook, and it was elderly people.
Oh, wow. That's like getting called out in public, right?
all right, and
Oh,
then
I'm sorry.
and then our backup is built into these files here. So if you can see up fund letter, all those blue, those are all links. So
So when you email me the report, I can send it out and they can go look at
Well,
all the
they'll
backup?
be very easy to access. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's great. So then she'll have a copy of the letter agreement per our criteria.
Yeah,
On her.
I'm not exactly sure what's required, but certainly
The
Well-
letter is required, so, or whatever the agreement is, it's required for her to have that,
to
or
pay it.
the office to have it
For reimbursement,
for
right?
reimbursement.
Yes,
So-
yes, of course.
Yeah, and
So
I
that's
think,
great.
I also think you did a good job on the summary report, incorporating a lot of the new marketing opportunity fund requirements to make sure we get all the information we expect to get, so.
Absolutely.
Good.
And we included what, I believe at the last meeting, somebody, I'd have to go check the minutes, but somebody asked for something to be added to this report.
It
Whatever.
was the subtotal by year, wasn't it?
That might have been it. I did add,
think it
yeah, I
was.
added the totals.
Okay,
Yeah.
that might have been it. I just making sure
That's-
because
yeah.
I'd have to go reference.
YouTube channel.
Our fingers are still crossed.
This is great. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Reed?
No, I,
Thank
much
you.
for hearing the interpretation of the credit card fees. That is great.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that, great. Okay, so this is Angela up for reviewing our AUP for 2024. The auditor has been in reviewing
hope she's there
things,
now.
has visited with us.
She'll be coming back to haunt you, who knows?
Yeah. And I think she'll be, what meeting will she be here at?
June for our FOC meeting for the draft audit.
June for the, yeah.
The process for this, because neither of you have been through this, is we have a regular financial statement audit. Then we have a secondary audit, which is basically a contract compliance audit, where the auditor goes in and checks this list of things to make sure that they were done, received, presented, whatever the requirement is. And we just finished signing, initialing, and pretty soon copying our contract with Explore Branson. And there were very little changes to what we're doing moving forward. And I don't think that any of them are going to affect what the auditor goes in and needs to look at. As soon as I get the copies put together, I will send out the copy to the committee
Of the contract.
of the contract, so you can actually compare to the AUP that was for this year to decide if you want to make any changes for next year's agreed upon procedures document. That's the real name of it.
And what we tried to do, this year when we went through for what that secondary audit, we tried to eliminate stuff that we ourselves can monitor. Like, it makes no sense to ask the auditor to check on something that the CVB can report to us ongoing, or we can ask them about. And so that was the kind of the drill down. So 24 is what they're auditing right now. We've already given them what 25's audit will be. Is that correct?
No,
No.
this would be
So
what we would
we-
do for the current
So
year.
we will be creating now whatever for 25 that they'll do. And what we're saying is, unless you guys see some dramatic problems, the group had kind of drilled down pretty intensely to get less questions.
And then for what the staff is monitoring, that's this spreadsheet, normally in color, but because of a lack of a poke in a button, it's gray today. Showing what we're monitoring, shows when we get it in board meeting, FOC or MOC. And that's how we're monitoring.
Which that's kind of, and then in June, we'll see the draft of the audit for 2024, and then that will be presented in our annual August meeting. And so this year, my understanding is that we will also get sort of the first and second quarter of 25 in comparison to 24 is, yeah, it's in the minutes.
Okay.
When we talked about the research.
I'll have to go back and look.
So that's where we're at. Any questions on the audit? And we have, and the next meeting is here at Indian Point, so Okay, is there anything else, Angela, that we need to do? You'll note at the back of your packet that she's placed the committees and contact information and everything.
Yes, thank you to those people who read the list that I sent out and found the errors. Uh, Well, there was quite a bit of updated stuff from long-term members that had not continued to update their information on the regular sheet. So I updated it, and this is the last I heard phone numbers and email addresses.
So, that completes most of the meeting. One point that I was going to mention is that the meetings are now being streamed live and recorded and posted. And Angela, uh, are you sharing a link with everyone so that or how are people knowing?
Today, I just shared it with the board, the link to the channel.
Okay,
But once we confirm that everything is as it should be with this, I'll go ahead and send that link out to the remaining groups. That way everybody knows. For our YouTube page, we might need, mostly me.
so, okay, is there any announcements or public comment? Oh, yes,
But sometime last night with our board member Dennis and his wife,
Good.
he is as good as I've seen him in a long time, and I was very encouraged by his energy. They're wearing him out in physical therapy to get him strong enough to attend his next surgery, but he is as good as I've seen him in a while.
is he home or still?
No, he's in Springfield at a clinic, and it was a delightful visit. And some Andy's frozen custard was served.
Oh, very good.
So
Awesome.
he says hello, and he won't be here to join us this week, but he says he'll be here next month. That's how energetic he was.
Awesome.
I had not seen him like that in a while. Felt good.
That's great. That's really good. Thank you, Kurt.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
I'd just like
Oh,
to say
go
we
ahead,
had a
Pam.
wonderful 250th committee meeting yesterday, organized by Heather and Ashley and Reed and all the team. 48 attendees at that meeting. So it was very well attended. Everyone got to share their ideas and their thoughts, and we collected all of those, and it's really given us a roadmap, I think, to now start a lot of the hard work. But we had great representation just across the board from the community. We had 3 aldermen there, and the mayor was in attendance. Brad Thomas was there. Kirk Elmquist was even there. Fancy that. But it was very good. And Vinay, you were there.
Yeah.
So anyway, we appreciate you coming and providing feedback and stuff. So we had some really great discussions. People are enthused and excited. So more to come on that. But it was I was just so inspired because everybody came with an open mind and came with ideas and thoughts and were there to work. So, because I think Heather made it pretty clear, this is not a fun, this isn't a meeting where we're just going to sit around. You have to come and work. You knew that when you got there, right? You knew you was there to work. So, it was really good. So we're really excited about everything that's going to happen around the 250th.
I just wanted to comment, the CV, kind of a lodging meeting where they kind of just educated everybody on some of the things that were going on from a group perspective. And so Reed did a really good job. And I quite last time a meeting like that happened. And so I think that was just a great meeting. And so
Great.
just wanted to thank the CVB for doing that. I think the more we can continue to educate our community what's happening, the better. The other thing that I would comment on, and I heard Reed say there's $100,000 still in the opportunity fund. And at some point, you get too late in the year. And so I think what we ought to just be thinking in the back of our mind, if we're not going to use that all, how do we take some of those funds and divert them over to media if you aren't going to use it? Because I'd hate for us to be in December and say, hey, we have $90,000 left and we could have spent it. So as you guys internally look at that, obviously there's still time for meetings and to book those, but at some point it'll be too late. And
We have some ideas and we're going to present them to you on Thursday.
okay.
Awesome. Okay, is that everybody? All right, so I believe that it's time to adjourn and thank everybody for coming. And if you see your fellow members that weren't there, give them a hard time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
This is the smallest.